the best of the week on Relevant Radio.
Now, for the latest news on the health of the Holy Father Pope Francis, we go to our Rome correspondent, Ashley Noronha from the Eternal City. Good morning, Ashley. Thanks so much for joining us on this Friday morning from Rome.
John, good morning. Glad to be with you today.
Well, Ashley, it's been now 2 weeks since Pope Francis entered Gemelli Hospital. What is the latest this morning on the health of the Holy Father?
Yes, indeed. His longest hospital stay of his papacy. And sure enough, we've received what seems like good news from the hospital in that his condition seems to be improving. So again, the morning reports that we get from Gemelli Hospital every day tend to be pretty short, pretty vague. And we were told this morning that Pope Francis had a restful night and that he experienced what they're calling clinical improvements. So with that, last night's report told us a little bit more. So in the evening reports, these tend to be a little bit more detailed about how the Pope spent his day and about how his treatment is going. So what we learned yesterday was that he was continuing his treatment and as well as breathing physiotherapy. Now, that in and of itself is a good sign that he has moved on to a physiotherapy stage. And then according to yesterday evening's press release, his condition continues to improve. He had alternated yesterday with high flow oxygen therapy and a venti mask. He also in the morning dedicated time to this respiratory therapy, then rested, then in the afternoon had another round of respiratory physiotherapy. He also spent time in the chapel praying yesterday. He received the Eucharist and he resumed work activities. So we won't receive the next report then on the Pope's condition until this evening. And we'll hear in a similar way a little bit about how his day went, John.
So good to hear that he's improving. And the fact that he's going into the chapel to pray, that's a really, really good sign.
Yes, indeed. And this is, of course, amidst the fact that right here in St. Peter's Square, every night at 9 p.m., cardinals are gathering. All the cardinals in Rome, really, who can be there, are coming to be there and to pray the Rosary. So thousands of people are coming to pray along. I actually reported live from the Rosary on Drew Mariani's show for Relevant Radio a couple of days ago. And tonight, Cardinal Victor Manuel Fernández will be leading the Holy Rosary. He's the prefect of the dicastery for the doctrine of faith. He comes from Argentina, just like Pope Francis. And while they are praying the Rosary, right in front of the Basilica, they've placed a beautiful image of Our Lady Mater Ecclesiae, Mother of the Church. So the image is lit, and the chapel choir, sings and leads everyone in various Marian hymns throughout the praying of the Rosary. So it's a very moving and beautiful service, John.
It's also beautiful, and it looks like, there's hundreds. It looks more like thousands of people there in St. Peter's Square from the images.
Yes, indeed. Depending on the day, there have been some very large crowds there. In talking to people, they are just looking for a way to be part of the prayer movement that is happening throughout the world for Pope Francis, including right there in Gemelli Hospital, where people are gathering for a holy hour every day, and including in various churches here in Rome, John.
Ashley, of course, it's been 4 years since the Holy Father prayed in St. Peter's Square during the pandemic. We will never forget those images of the Pope literally taking the world on his shoulders and putting it in the hands of our Lord Jesus Christ, and that beautiful image of the crucified Jesus, which is now in another church there in Rome. I understand people have been going and praying in that church as well.
Yes, in fact. So it was actually, the anniversary was just a few days ago of that, the 23rd of February, when Pope Francis, in that desolate square, prayed for the whole world as everyone was questioning, not understanding what was happening as COVID was beginning. So the crucifix that you mentioned is a beautiful wooden crucifix. It's in the church of San Marcello here in Rome. That's not far from Piazza Venezia. It's on the Via del Corso. And it survived a fire that actually destroyed that entire church back in 1519. So imagine that everything was burnt to the ground except for this gorgeous, huge wooden crucifix. So, of course, everyone understood that that was miraculous. And then that crucifix was carried in a procession through the city back in 1522. And many people said that during the plague of 1522, it was because of that procession and all of those prayers that indeed the plague was allayed. So sure enough, it's that same crucifix, that same church is a very important place of prayer and devotion today.
Well, we continue to pray for the Holy Father, and of course, looking forward to the next report and presser from the doctors. As always, thanks so much for joining us from Roma this morning.
Oh, thank you, John. Many blessings from here in Rome.
Thanks so much. Our Rome correspondent, Ashley Noronha.
Like what you just heard? Share it with your family and friends. And thanks for listening.